friends, it's Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. Thank you so much for joining me. In this tutorial, we're going to make this beautiful scarf. I am calling it my checkered crisscross braided scarf. Now this scarf is 68 inches long, so that'd be 5 feet 8 inches. So it's a beautiful length for wrapping around your neck and then letting the ends hang. Or you can just have it as a long scarf just by putting it around the back of your neck and letting it hang in the front. Either way, it's going to look beautiful. Now we're going to use our 22 needle machine for this project, and I've chosen Loops and Threads Flecks yarn. I love this yarn. These two color choices are Amethyst and Sweet Cream. Now I do have a grayish colored one. I can't remember the name of the color, but I have a hooded cardigan on my channel using this yarn as well. And you're going to want to look for that because it really does work up beautifully and makes a very, very beautiful project. So these are the two colors I've chosen. I can't wait to see the color choices that you choose. And let's make a scarf together. So grab your machine, grab your yarn, and we're gonna get started on this project. But before you do so, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. All right, friends, thank you for joining me. Have fun. All right, so taking my first color, which is Sweet Cream. I just love that color name. It looks like sweet cream. We're gonna bring our last white, my first black needle in line with our yarn guide. We're going to do a drawstring cast on. So taking your yarn, we're going to go in front of that first black, behind the next, in front and behind, all the way around. Don't put any extra tension on this yarn as you're doing the cast on. Before we get to the end, let me set my row counter to 0. Because if you put tight tension on it, it has a hard time getting down over the needle and onto these little red teeth because there's no weight from the project to pull it down yet. So you want to do your first cast on row, which does not count in our row counts. You want to do that nice and loose. And then for the second row, which is actually the first row of a project, sorry, I shouldn't use that terminology. This is the first row. You want to go slow, making sure that you have enough time for that yarn to drop down and make a loop over those two red teeth. And sometimes it wants to split. So if you go slow, it helps prevent that. There we go. Generally, once you have the first row done, there is no problems with the rest. I'm holding my yarn between my fingers like this. I'm giving it a very light tension. Not a lot, but just a light tension. When you have yarn that splits very easily like this one, let me show you. You need to use a little bit more tension. Otherwise, it splits over these two little red teeth. And we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to put a light tension on it as I knit. And I'm going to knit for 65 rows. Okay, so you keep going. It doesn't take long at all. And we're going to knit 65 rows, and then I'll see you back. All right, just coming up to the end of row 65, I see the black divider coming around. I'm going to stop it in front of my yarn guide there. And if you haven't done so already, take a black permanent marker and mark that divider between the last white and the first black. You won't regret it. You'll always see when the end of your rows coming around. We're going to cut off that yarn tail. We're going to pop it into the center between the last white and the first black. We're going to grab our second color, which for me is Amethyst. Pop it into our yarn feeder. Then we're going to take it from between the last white and the first black to the other side of that white needle. And this is going to help us have a jogless join. When we knit in the round, it just keeps going up all the time like a spiral. So your yarn change was going to come on top of the previous row, and you see that in your work if you don't do a jogless join, which is what we just did. So right now it's like this, and when we tie it, it's going to pull it into line and it's going to come straight. That's what we call a jogless join, and that's what we will do here. So we're going to knit 4 or 5 needles. Then we're going to help our loops down underneath these red dividers that are on the right side of this feeder. And then we're going to take both ends of that working yarn and pull them away from each other. That way it tightens up our tension in here, and you don't have a loopy tension at the beginning of the row and a nice tension throughout the rest of the color. All right, so we're going to knit about 4 rows. This is 3 and 4. We're going to let that black divider pass by, and then we're going to fix our jogless join. It's easier when you're about 4 rows down. So we're going to take these two colors. We're going to pull them very gently away from each other, and you will feel it and maybe hear it fall into place. Okay, and it'll stop when, if you're pulling gently, it'll stop when it's in place. And then you tie it off. You cut this, and I'll show you those joins at the end of the project if I remember. And we'll have straight lines, and it'll be beautiful. You're going to go ahead and you're going to knit 65 rows of this color. That's going to take you to row 130 on your counter. Your project is already touching the table, so you're going to pick it up, pull it up, and then just drop it down. And that way it keeps your tension nice and even around the inside of your barrel here. And then if you were to just let it stay on the table and just keep knitting, it'll start bunching up like this. Then you might risk dropping a loop off those red teeth and dropping a row. So while we can, once it gets a bit longer, we have to do something different. And I'll show you that when we get there. Actually, I can just tell you, I just let it fall down in and out the end and down, okay? Between the legs and down onto the floor, and let it just go. Somebody posted in the group, oh, I think it was last year, so you probably won't have an easy time finding it, but they put a salad spinner on the floor so that this falls into the salad spinner, and then that spinner just spins around, and actually it's right below. There's a hole in their table, which I have on my old table. I had drilled a hole in the center, or my husband did, and my project just dropped right down through that hole. And then if you put it in a salad spinner, it spins with your barrel. It's genius. So if you have the opportunity to do that, you might want to try that. But I'm going to do the second color till I get to row 130, and then I'll see you back. Just clicking on row 130, and I'm watching for that black divider. There it goes. We have finished 2 sections. I'm going to cut off that amethyst. We're going to take our sweet cream. We're going to pop this purple tail into the center between the last white and the first black. We're going to take our sweet cream, put it into our yarn guide, take it around to the other side of that white needle. We're going to knit 3 or 4 or 5 at the most. Help those yarn strands underneath the divider take both ends and pull away from each other. You've seen how that snugged up that tension just beautifully. We're going to knit 4 rows. And 1 more. Then we're going to tie off our jogless join, and I'm going to give you instructions in just a minute. Don't pull too tight. Cut that off. And we are going to knit 65 rows of this color. That will take us to row 195. So 65, then 65 is 130, and then another 65 is 195. I'm going to go down into here. I'm going to pick this up. You can also take this and just fold it over on itself just like this, and then pop it there and keep going. Once you finish your 65 rows of this color, taking you to row 195, you're going to do another jogless join. You're going to change to your purple color. You're going to do 65 rows of that. You may want to, before you get to the last, when you're on your 94th row, before you get to the end, you might want to change your counter to 0 and just count by 65s all the time instead of adding it up and going. But I'll meet you at the end of every section, and we're going to, but if you want to go ahead and keep going, you're going to go until you have 5 sections done. We started with this ivory, then went to amethyst, then the sweet cream, amethyst, sweet cream. So we start and we end with the same color, having 5 sections. That's what we're going to do. But if you want to join me back at the very end of this 65, I'll see you back. All right, so we have our first color, 65 rows, our second color, 65 rows, our third color, which is the same as the first, 65 rows. That took us to row 195. Rolling this up like this, it's getting too long. It's getting too wide to sit in there, so I'm just going to let it pop down. And once it gets down to the middle here, I should do that a little bit differently, sorry. Gonna pop that down like this. Then I'm not going to wreck any of my stitches. Then take it down. And then it's going to come out the back, between the back 2 legs there, and fall onto the floor and keep going. But I'm going to change my yarn color now. Taking it out of the yarn guide, popping it between the last white and the first black. I'm going to take that amethyst. We're going to do a jogless join. Knit 4 needles. Help that down. Can't get that last one. Pull away. Knit 4 rows. 4 or 5. And we're going to tie off our jogless join. And we are going to knit another 65 rows of this purple color, and that will take us to row 260. Okay, so another 65 rows of purple, that will take you to row 260, and then you're going to switch colors. You're going to add your ivory back into there. You're going to knit your last 65 rows, and that will take you to row 325. I will see you when you get there, and be sure that you come back and see me, because we have a certain way we have to cast off for this particular project. Okay, so I'm going to come and continue with the 65 rows of my amethyst. Then I'm going to go ahead and put this one back in, and I'm going to finish off with a 65 of that, and I will meet you back. Have fun, friends. Okay, we are coming up near the end of our project, and this is row 320. I'm going to do 5 more rows. I want you to grab yourself 2 stitch markers. 1 more row. There we go. Watching for that black divider, putting it into the center there. We're going to grab 2 stitch markers. All right, so once we have those rows finished, now I have 325 rows on my counter. We are going to open our latch. We're going to cut off a tail long enough to go around your barrel 1.5 to 2 times, and we're going to do the drawstring cast off. Except for we need to make sure that we are going to drop 2 rows for our braid, and we're going to drop needles 11 and 12. So right across from the other side, we're going to drop those. What I'm going to do is we're going to rotate our barrel. I have to help these first few because I didn't have my thing taping. I took off a few. I didn't have my camera taping, and so I had to undo it, back it up, which I won't show you on here. Back it up, but because I had to back it up and take the stitches off, now I have to hold some of these down before I keep going. So you're not going to have to do that, okay? But I'm going to rotate my barrel until this first needle right here drops down. But I'm going to help this one, because as soon as this needle starts to come up, that one's going to want to, there we go. And then I'm going to pick it up. That's 1. So this problem is only going to happen for the first few needles because I only got a little ways. And then I'm going to watch this one because it's going to also want to go to drop because I had to back up that far. So I'm going to hold that loop over until that one drops down. Then I'm going to pick up the second one. Again, you won't be doing what I'm doing here because you wouldn't have had to back it up. And this is 3. I just got to look and see if this one's gonna, I think that's about as far as the problem went. 4. And 5, yep. See, it was not a big deal. 5. 6 and 7 and 8. 9 and 10, and we're going to pick up the next 2 with stitch markers, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a warning here because I'm going to just set this down here. When you go to take these 2 off, if you push this one all the way down, when you're grabbing these 2, this one very easily slips off your needles and you could drop a row. So I'm going to take my bobby pins, which I use for my stitch marker. I'm going to grab that one. That's stitch 11. And this is stitch 12. And I've got those 2 off. You can use whatever stitch markers you want. And now I'm going to continue around and I'm going to take off the rest of my stitches. And again, this yarn slips off these little red teeth so very easily. So it's best if you do take off one while this needle is still part way up, then move that one down, take it off, move that one down, and be careful. Oh my goodness, you guys. Okay, well, you just saw what happened. The weight of this pulled it off the needles. I'm having a little bit of a time here. But I don't believe in editing it all out, because if it happens to you, I want to be able to show you how to fix it. So this needle, this row dropped off the red teeth. So if I pull it back, like yours might be this far, okay? Wherever it is, grab that loop that you see that's visible, where the stitches all underneath it are intact. Then all you got to do, this is the right side of the work, you put your crochet hook into that stitch like that, and you grab the next bar and you bring it through. Then you take the next bar and you bring it through. This is how you fix it off the machine, and you bring it through. Now I want to make sure that I have the right order of loops. So if you follow this one, this one is underneath, so I'm going to grab that one. Those top two, you have to be careful of making sure you get them in the right order. And then I'm going to grab that. I'm going to take my needle and put it through that loop, and I've just picked up that dropped row. Okay, and so now we have them all just like that. I'm going to undo this. I'm functioning on fewer brain cells this morning because I'm very tired. We had our Christmas yesterday, our family Christmas, because my kids work shift work, and well, one of my daughters does, she's a paramedic, and the other one he's a geologist, so he is 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And so my daughter and her boyfriend are both working over the Christmas holiday, so we had to change it, and this was the first we could do. So we had our Christmas yesterday, and it was awesome. We had a great time. All right, so here's what we've done. We did our first color, then our second, and our third, and our fourth, and our fifth, taking us to 325 rows. Now that is one of your panels. You're going to do one more, but you're going to start with the opposite color. Okay, so here you can see we started with that one, and now we started with the purple. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 65 rows of purple, 65 rows of, I'm just going to call it ivory, 65 purple, 65 ivory, 65 purple. So we're doing the same exact thing, but except we're rotating the colors, okay? So on this particular panel, we started with the ivory, ended with the ivory. This one, we're starting with the purple, and we're ending with the purple, okay? Get both of those done, and when you have them done, I'll see you back. All right, friends, so there we have our first piece. I'm just going to grab that here. Now you can see that I have my stitch markers on the very side over here. Here's where our tail is, and we strategically chose 11 and 12 just because I wanted to show you that if you were to ever do one of these projects and you wanted to do a straight edge here, these would be the two that you would want to drop, because then you're going to have this as your straight edge. This one corner here where your tail is coming out. And then these two rows here where you're going to do your braiding. We're not going to have a straight edge. We're going to have a cinched edge. So we could have really dropped any two and it wouldn't have mattered. But for the sake of being able to tell you why I chose those two, and if you wanted to do a flat edge, that's the ones that you would choose. All right, so we're going to take our piece, and I'm going to fold it so I can just see where these are. And I'm going to take these off, these two stitch markers out, and we're going to let our row drop. This is our drawstring that we have going through all the other stitches. So you can see how this just pulls apart. Now I'm not going to pull it all the way down. I'm just going to do a small section at a time. We're going to grab our second piece, and we're going to do the same thing. Now I use different stitch markers on this one. Maybe this is what you used, and I just grabbed them both together. And we are going to work those down just to get a good start on it. We're not going to go too far. These little flecks in here might make it a little difficult for you to pull, but persevere, you can do it. All right, so once you've dropped a few rows, I got more down on the purple than I do in this one, you're going to go over to this side. Let's take, here's our drawstring that's going to tighten our end. We don't want to grab that one. We want to grab the next three, and then those are on my hook. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to grab the first three on this side. Make sure they're all straight so that you get the first three and not cross them over. Once we get going on this, see that one down there was hiding. Once you get going on this, it's very easy. And I'm going to take those 3 bars and I'm going to pull them through this one here. Then I'm going to take the next 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to take them through the loop that's on my hook. Now my loop is the 3 bars of this color. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to pick up 3 more, take them through. I'm going to alternate back and forth. Here's one thing that I want to give you as a tip. This is very, very easy to do, but you want to make sure both stitches are dropping, okay? Because I'm going to just show you here. I see 1 stitch down here dropping, and if I keep going, I'm going to miss these bars here because this is up here. So you want to make sure that you drop both bars down before you pick up, and it'll make it easier, okay? See, this one's up here, that one's down there. I want to drop them down together so that I have no problems there. And I'm going to keep working back and forth. So I'm going to go over to this one now. And I'm going to find 1, 2, 3. There's my 2 loops down there. And I'm going to bring it through. Go over to this side. Okay, these 3 here. Just spreading it out so you can see. And pull them through the loop on my hook. And you're going to do that all the way down. I'm using a 4.5mm hook, but you can use whatever size you're most comfortable with. And we're going to just work all the way down, picking up 3 bars and bringing it through the loop that's on your hook that was made with the previous 3 bars. And we're going to go down and down and down. This is what it's going to look like. And then when we get to the next color, it's going to be ivory on this side and purple on that side. All right, so you keep going till you get close to the end and I'll meet you back. You're going to do the same, just repeat the same process all the way down. All right, so I made it down to the end. I just have a few more to go. And I am going to find my very top row. So my very top row is this one here because this is my drawstring. This is one that I'm going to tighten my row with, so I'm not going to include that into my set here. Now I wonder what these top ones here look like. They're a little bit jumbled. That's because this row here has just moved over. So I'm just gonna pick up 1, 2, 3. There's 5 of them. I'm gonna pick them all up just because that's gonna be my last one. You might have 3 left, you might have 4 left, you might have 2 left. And the reason why I have I've only got 2 here. The reason why that happened is because way up here, when I got to my color change, I decided that I was going to, rather than pick up the ivory and the purple together, I saw that happened up here because when I picked up 3, I had only 2 ivory left, and so I grabbed the 1 purple and they were together. And then on this side, there were 2 purple left, and so to make 3, I grabbed the 2 purple and the 1 ivory. And then down here, I decided, well, if that happens again, I'm just going to take as many as what I need. So if there was 1 left, I would do 4 ivory instead of then carrying that ivory down to the next row. And or I would do 4 purple, etc. I would just keep all the strands the same color, even if I had to add or take away. And then I thought, well, no, that doesn't make sense either because we want to keep these all the same width. So then I didn't bother about it, and I thought, no, just keep going, pick up 3, and if some of them are ivory and some of them are purple, that's okay. And so that's exactly what I did. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 1 tail here, and I'm going to cinch it closed. I'm going to find my needle. And we're going to bring this tail around to the side here just by going under that first row of stitches. Just like this, coming around, halfway around. Then I'm going to pick up this loop that's on my crochet hook. So now I have that secured. And once that's secured, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to tighten it. I'm going to take my needle, put it onto this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this half a stitch of stitches on this half of the let me just pick up this one. I don't know why that's a little stitch there is hanging out there, so I'm going to just make sure I get it. I'm going to pick that up and I'm going to come around the top row there I'm going to bring it over to this half of the top row here. Pick up those stitches. Bring that together. Then I'm going to do the other half. So now I'm going to do the top row on this half of this piece. Pick them up. Bring it through. And then go over and take the second half of this one that I didn't reinforce already. So picking it up. Then I'm pulling that together. And I've got those two nice and cinched closed together. I'm going to take these two ends and I'm going to tie them. And let's just do one more for securing. And we're going to cut that off. I'm going to put these onto my needle. And we're going to hide them into our work. And cut off. We will be adding a pom-pom to the end of there, so that's going to be beautiful, but that's just a beautiful finish, just like that. Let's take the other side. And we're going to do the same thing, except for this is already cut. So we're going to just take this ivory one. I'm going to cut it off because it's way too long. Pop that on the needle. We're going to go around this back half, halfway. Then we're going to cinch this purple one. Get that tail on the inside. And we're going to go around. I can pick up the purple and do it that way too if I want, but I'm already here. So I'm going to just go around this first half of the top row of this purple one and pull that together. Then I'm going to continue around, picking up that top row on that side and then the top row, the other half of the white one there. Pulling those together. I want to meet this one back over where that other purple strand is, just so I don't have to have a line going across here. So I'm just going to go back in and bring it over just like that. Pull it tight. I'm going to tie off 3 knots. Very, very simple way to close your ends, but making your 2 tubes into one end. Popping these both onto your needle. And we're going to hide these ends into the work and out and cut off. There we go. We have a beautiful, beautiful scarf. I'm going to measure this for you off camera because it's easier if I lay it flat out on the floor and do it. And we're going to add our pom-poms to the end. But isn't that beautiful, you guys? Just absolutely gorgeous. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to make a beautiful pom-pom. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? I'm going to use my Clover pom-pom maker. It has a number 65 on the back of it. I have a set of 4, and this is the biggest one in the set of 4, I think. It has a 65, so you'll know it from that. But you choose the pom-pom maker that you love, and we're going to, I do have a video on how to make a pom-pom, so I'm not going to do the whole thing with you, but I will do the first half here, and then I'll do the second half on my own, and then I'll show you how I assemble it. And we'll do this quickly. I'm just going to wrap around the yarn, color of choice. I think this is a very rich color, so I love it. So I'm choosing this rather than the Amethyst. And you're going to wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap this half of your pom-pom maker evenly across until you get it almost level, not quite, a little bit less than straight across. And I just keep going back and forth just like this. Very, very easy to do. There you go, just like that. So it's not quite flat. There's still a little bit of an indent there, but I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to open the other side, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Holding that down with my thumb just to get it started. Then I'm going to wrap until it's as full as the other side was. All right, so I did the second side here, and I closed it, and I'm going to just cut this strand off. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another strand. I'm going to put it in half. See, I've got my loop there, and the ends here, just a good length. Put that aside. We're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut down the center of each side. You just go right into this little groove here. And you cut through. And you go around to the other half. Oops. And you cut through. There you go. Taking the strand that we have in half, we've got our loop on the one end. We're going to just take that and put it right down the center, bring it around. I'm going to take these two yarn tails, I'm going to put it through that loop. Then I'm going to tighten this really tight. Being careful that you don't snap it, but really, really tight. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to cross it and then bring it up to the other edge, other end. And we're going to tie a firm knot. That's 1 and 2. Once that's done, you can open your sides, pull your pom-pom maker apart, give that a shake, and now I'm going to take it and I'm going to trim it so it's nice and even. I just take my scissors and I go all around and I make it nice and round and even. I do it over the garbage, but I'm just showing you what I do. And I trim up the whole thing till it's beautiful and how I want it. Very fast, very easy. Just like so. See how the different sets already made? And I take it to the side. And I'm going to just go do this, the rest of it over the garbage, but that's what I do. Look how different that already looks. It just makes a difference when you trim it up. Make sure both sides are exactly the same and it's nice and rounded. I said I was going to take it over the garbage, but hey, I'm on a roll here. Don't forget the bottom. Just a nice little trim. I'm not cutting off too much, I'm just making them all even. Okay, I'm gonna go clean this up and I'll be right back. All right, so now I'm gonna take the pom-pom. I'm gonna take one of these strands, pop it on my needle. Take my end, and I'm just gonna go right across that center knot. Just like that, right across, going that direction with this one, and then putting this next strand on and going the opposite direction. So now I'm going to take it from this side and I'm going to go through to the other end, pull it through. Then I'm going to take these two and I'm going to give them a nice firm knot. Get under those fibers. 1. It's going to fall off the table. 2 and 3. I'm going to put these back on. You can either cut them off so they're the same size, same length, or you can put them back onto your needle and secure them even better by going up through the center of the pom-pom and then cutting them off. There you go. I measured this scarf and it's 68 inches. So it's a beautiful, beautiful length. 5 feet 8 inches, I think that would work out too, but there you go. All right, friends, there you go. We've made ourselves a beautiful checkered crisscross braided scarf. I hope you've enjoyed the process. I would really love to see your color choices, the scarves you've made. So please come on over to my Facebook group and post your work there. I'd love to cheer you on, as would everybody else in that group. We're a wonderful family of crafters. We call each other family because we really have connected well in my group, and it's just a very positive, beautiful place to be. So I'd welcome you over there. I'll put the link in the description box below. All right, thanks again for joining me. I appreciate you more than I can say, and I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. Take care, friends, and have a blessed day.